Welcome back to the average tier list for Professor Nautilus. Today we go over average trainers like Steelon through Drake. And we will be starting with Drake from Pokemon Brown. The first Elite Four member that's actually competent. A Kingdra with Surf, Ice Beam, and Smoke Screen, not bad. An Aerodactyl with a Rock move, that's a first in Gen 1. Not too bad. Kingdra can be an issue with that Surf, Ice Beam, that's pretty good coverage. Gyarados has Hydro Pump, Hyper Beam, Rain Dance, and Leer. Ironically, you have a Dragonite with Slam, Hyper Beam, Thunder, and Agility. Not a very good moveset, but Dragonite's a pretty good Pokemon. And Gen 1, if Hyper Beam knocks a Pokemon out, it can Hyper Beam the very next turn. And Charizard with Dragon Breath, Flamethrower, Wing Attack, and Fly. Not bad. Not that good because ice and electric types will have a field day with this team. And light types, which are super effective against water. Rip Water. Light and sound types do pretty well against this team. And Kingdra and Gyarados with super effective damage. .4.8, not bad. Next trainer. Agatha from Yellow. The worst out of the two Agathas, to be perfectly honest with you. Why is that? Because she's less troll. She kind of uses more straight offensive instead Confuse Ray. She uses a bit less Confuse Ray, Hypnosis, Dream Eater, and more like Mega Drain, Psychic. Her Gengar does have Substitute. She does have Substitute on her Gengars, which is pretty good. She ain't bad, but it's like there are better gyms out there. Gym leaders and better competition. Like Lorelei, for instance. Next on our tier list is Misty. Finally, we get an early gym on one of these tier lists. Misty is actually pretty good. Except there's one problem. You're guaranteed a Pikachu. You're guaranteed at least one electric type early. Electric types kinda defeat Misty. You could kinda Thunder Shock your way to victory with your Pikachu. And you could find a Bulbasaur on the way to Misty's gym too, because in Gen 1 Yellow version you have access to all three starters, kind of like Ash Ketchum does. You get free Squirtle in Vermilion, you get Charmander north of Cerulean, and you get Bulbasaur in the forest, but either way it's nearby. Not to mention there are Bellsprout northwest of the gym in the grass before the Mewtwo cave that you can access and collect a pretty good counter for Misty. Yeah, so there's plenty of counters to Misty, otherwise she'd be much higher on the tier list with her Bubble Beam. And if you do pick up all those water or grass types, the best move she has for you is Tackle. Next up is Gym 5 of Pokemon Brown with Koji. He has pretty good levels. He is very over-leveled, which helps him. Except Machamp has Focus Energy and Dynamic Punch, which won't hit you much. He has inaccurate moves, unfortunately. And Poliwrath with Double Slap and Surf. He has Brick Break on a lot of his Pokemon, though. Like Heracross. But due to his levels, your levels are probably in the mid-30s at most. So that Machamp with that Dynamic Punch can be a threat. He has good attack stats, so unless you have a strong defense or ghost types, you are gonna have some problems with this gym. And it's nice to see that we're finally getting to where gym leaders are somewhat competent. And then we have Brock with his Geodude and Onix. Unless you pick a Squirtle or Bulbasaur in red version, and yellow version you get a Nidoran male, you are gonna have problems inflicting damage on Brock. Not to mention his Onix outspeeds and can use Bide. 70 base speed for a first gem is pretty good. Pretty high level of base speed. So his Onix is pretty good for a first gym. His Geodude will tackle you and defense curl. And at this point, you don't have a lot of resources to deal with Brock. And you can't status him with Poison Sting because he has full heals. He may not. Brock is truly a definition of a rock. He may not hit you hard, but he can definitely take like 30 tackles to take down. And when you have access, when a lot of your best moves are normal type moves or flying type moves, you're gonna have problems unless you say have Butterfree from the forest. Sabrina from Red and Blue, she's actually pretty good. The reason why Sabrina is much higher than her yellow counterpart is her Kadabra starts out with a psychic attack. Or Psybeam. The fact that the Kadabra will attack you, as opposed to, say, the Abra in her yellow version that won't do anything, is actually a pretty big buff to Sabrina. I would say her yellow version is nerfed. Not to mention you have a Venomoth that can put you asleep and Psybeam you. Or Venomoth is pretty decent base stat wise. Mr. Mime's kind of a joke. It's confusion, that's it. That's kind of bad. Her Alakazam does have Psychic Psybeam, Recover, and Psywave. If she deleted Psywave from her moveset, she'd probably be bumped up to a 6 and put in the above average tier, but her propensity of going to Psywave puts her in the average tier. Lance from Pokemon Yellow. Again, similar problems to Red and Blue, where he has good AI. The thing is with Lance from Yellow, he has better coverage. It's like Lance, except with actual coverage. Let's take a look at his notes. He has great coverage and base stats, but isn't as posing as you think. Electric and ice types counter well, like say a Magneton or a Dugong. His Aerodactyl does have Fly, which is actually a buff. That is Stab. It does have Hyper Beam. Still doesn't have a Rock move for whatever reason, but... And his Gyarados is still there. His Dragonites have coverage like Thunder and Fire Blast. Not bad. So he is better. It's just that he still has good AI. And that's actually kind of a nerf on Lance. Maddox. We finally get to the final Elite Four member in Kelgo. Or am I, Rajan? He wants the war with Kelgo and Rajan because he wants to dominate the world. He was a captain of a baseball team. That kind of was his hidden job, to say that he... And he's basically kind of the protagonist. He sets up the tournament to start a war so he could profit from selling weapons and try to manipulate the Epsilon program to serve him. And basically he's kind of a greedy... He is decent though. He has an Executor with Woodhammer and Solar Beam. Not a bad attacker. He doesn't have a bad attack. Then he has Victory Bell with Woodhammer. Yeah, he's the Wood Elite Four member. And Wood actually is super effective against electric types. He has a few... Wood does do well against Bone too, so... He has coverage. Wood and Grass provide some coverage, but not the greatest. Like, yeah, maybe you're gonna hit a flying type pretty well, but wind types, you're not gonna hit them from at all. And you still have Fire, Poison, Gas, EC. Reason why he's decent is because Tropius is kind of bulky and Synthesis is a pretty good move. Healing half your HP, he has good levels. Levels ranging from the high 60s to mid 70s. That's pretty good. That is pretty high leveled. And let's be honest, Trevenant's pretty good, even though it's slow. It has Giga Drain, Dark Pulse, Shadow Ball, Branch Whip. That's a pretty good ace. And Tropius is a threat because it can wood hammer you and then heal it back up with Synthesis. And Sinker Noise is a sound move. Yeah. He has Sound, Psychic, Wind, and Grass. Wind and Wood. That is pretty good coverage. And Shiftery does have good attack and special attack, so he definitely is pretty good. And then you have Rival 5 the yellow version. Cloyster, Sandslash, Magneton, Jolteon, Growlithe. Yeah. And Kadabra somewhere in there, but 5 out of 10 because his highest level Pokemon is 36, while in the red version it's 40. And that is a big difference. Cloyster's not nearly as imposing as Gyarados, it'll just take a few more hits. Sandslash is definitely worse than Pidgeot. Magneton is pretty scary, let's be real. But this stage has Thunder Shock. And Jolteon has Thunder, which can miss. And Growlithe is just Growlithe. Honestly, the Exeggutor of red version's more annoying. And let's be honest, any of those evolutions are worse than a starter. Sandslash is kinda scary since it has Slash. But again, I'd rather be taking a Slash than a Sand attack. Spyro. Let's see if we can find him somewhere. He is the second leader in Pokemon Grape, and ironically, we just finished covering all the Elite Four members in Pokemon Grape. 63 Gyarados, 64 Aerodactyl, 65 Kingdra, 66 Dragonite, and 69 Salamence. I used to train with the likes of Lance, Claire, and Drake as one of his students. As one of Drake's students. That's kind of where Lance and Claire got their skills from Master Drake. Fun fact there. And the problem with him is, as you can see with Takedown, Hyper Beam, Hydro Pump, a lot of these moves are inaccurate. Thunder on Dragonite. Air Slash can miss, Fly can miss. A lot of things can miss. Razor Wing can ironically miss too. Gyarados is pretty good. He has good base stats. And he does have Stab Dragon with Outrage being 100 base power and special. And Kingdra actually has good special. Same with Elements. And in this game, these contact moves are physical. So you got moves like Hyper Beam, Ancient Power. Just not a bad team whatsoever. Just not that good because his moves can miss. And let's be honest, Ice, Wind, Sound, kinda crushed a lot of his team. He has some issues. Oh, and fairy types, obviously. They're good against a lot of his dragons. And then with Gyarados and Aerodactyl, a nice zap will put them out of the misery. But yeah, he is the best and scariest Elite Four member because mostly base stats. Mence, Dragonite, Kingdra, Aerodactyl, and Gyarados are not lacking in the stat department. And then we get to our 5th gym leader in Pokemon Grape, Sly, the Dark type. He is a Dark type gym leader. The problem is he has 4 Pokemon, so. And Umbreon will just troll you with Sand Attack and Confuse Ray. Honchkrow does have Drill Peck, and that is Stab. That is important. Houndoom's pretty good. He has a decent team. Flamethrower, Crunch. And he does have a Weavile with Swords Dance. The problem with the Weavile is Fan Attack and Icy Wind hit special, and Swords Dance and Slash don't work together. Because crits ignore stat changes. Which means this setup's actually entirely pointless. But yeah. You have a nice bug type attack for this Umbreon. He is over leveled though, but as you can see, Weavile, Houndoom, Honchkrow can't exactly take a super effective hit that well. His team ain't terrible, it's just not that good. It's kind of interesting. Not to mention, part of it is like when the next gym is literally the bug gym. After you beat Sly, you get Surf, and you kind of need it. The problem is the next gym is back in Burristown, and that gym is ranked so high it kind of takes away from Sly's impact, because you'll end up over grinding for the bug gym, and then you face Sly, and then you're wondering, oh, it's one of those rankings where Waspia, which we'll get to on the top of the tier list, is so difficult that, and so infamous in Pokemon Grape, that you end up kind of over-leveling for Sly, knowing that Waspia is the very next fight. And she's awful. Really awful. So Sly's difficulty kind of gets taken away by the fact that the fight after that is an infamous run killer. That makes a Giovanni Yellow version, Erica, Mura, Fievel look like amateurs. And then we go to our final review for this video. Steelhorn, the poison type gym leader. And he is... Did I say poison? No, he's a steel type gym leader. But he does like to have toxic. He likes spikes. He likes his hazards. And he has decent coverage. His Skarmory, Spikes, Fly, Drill Peck, Magnezone, Thunderbolt, Metalclaw, Tri-Attack, Supersonic. Metalclaw's kind of pointless because it's physical and Magnezone is a special attacker. Armaldo, Rock Blast, X-Scissor, Slash, Iron Tail. Pretty good moveset there. Rock Bug is actually a decent type. Only has 3 or 4 weaknesses. Pretty good. Excadrill, Earthquake, Metalclaw, Ancient Power, Slash. That's kind of why he is on the top of the average tier. Because if it wasn't for his Excadrill, he'd probably be in the below average tier. Aggron, Thunder, Rock Blast, Earthquake, Iron Tail. He has Iron Tail, which is a stab one arm steel type move, physical, which goes great with his team. Except there's one problem. Iron Tail is 75% accurate. A lot of what Steelhorn has to going on Rock Blast can miss. Fly, Steel Wing can miss. A lot of his attacks can miss. His lack of accuracy actually prevents him from being a tier higher. Not to mention Aggron slow, Skarmory slow, Magnezone slow. And his lead Skarmory can be set up on as long as you're not a grass, a fighting, or a bug type. You can basically set up on him. He is very vulnerable to setup, and if you have a ground type, you can set up on the Magnezone. Because Metalclaw is not going to hit your rock type for too much from a Magnezone. It's not an Excadrill with Metalclaw, which it's a threat. He can get defense drops with Iron Tail. He can hit 5 times with Rock Blast. He can get boosts with Metalclaw and Ancient Power. He can get defense boosts with Steel Wing. So he does have options. And the Spikes lead is pretty good. The problem is, what if you lead with your setup Mon? He kind of gets set up on and he doesn't do much. because of badge boost glitch. Raising your speed special, and once you get all set up, he can be swept because besides Excadrill, nothing threatens you in the speed department. Or you can get lucky and dodge attacks because his moves are inaccurate, which is a big no-no. That kind of dumbs down the difficulty when you can't hit your attack. You can even cheese him by sand attacking and then setting up if you're that afraid of him. That's the end of my average list for my Gen 1 tier list. Professor NAUT signing out. Professor NAUT Gaming.